Hey guys, what is up? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do an oil injection delete on the prebug. These are the goodies you're going to need when you do an oil injection delete on the prebug. You don't really need these, but these are some things that are good to have when you do it. Just kind of makes it more worth it to do the oil injection delete, whether the oil injection is not working at all or you just want to get rid of it and run premix or anything like that. These are some good things to have, and I do sell all these on my site. So this first big thing we have here, this is actually a cubby that goes in place of the old oil reservoir. And this way you can just have some locked storage on your bike, so you can put, some money, your wallet, a phone, any tools or anything like that in there, and then you can close the seat and it locks. So that way it's not like you have like a milk crate or a fanny pack on the outside of your bike and somebody can just steal your stuff. So kind of nice to have storage on the bike that locks, because as you guys know, that's the biggest downfall of the Zuma, the prebug specifically. It really did not come with any type of storage. The only storage it had was a little cubby up front, and a lot of them are missing. Just over the years, people take those out and forget about them. So the next thing we have here is a pump plug. So I sell these too. This I designed. It's CNC'd aluminum. Comes with the hardware, comes with the gasket, and this is basically just going to cover up that hole from where we take the pump out. You can leave the pump in. I just prefer to take it out, and then you have to cover it with something, because otherwise your crank seals will dry out and stuff like that because they're exposed to the elements. So that's what this is. This is just a pump. And then this is just a warning sticker. This is a premix warning sticker, so it just tells you what gas to run, what the premix ratio is and stuff like that. So once you do delete it, people know to run premix in the bike. That way you don't just put straight gas in and blow your motor up. So let's get into the install. All right, so first thing you're gonna have to do is to take the back plastics off. We're gonna do this with the motor still in the bike. If you have the motor outside of the bike, it's super easy to just take that pump out and put the plug in. Like if you're putting a 70cc cylinder on it or something like that. But we're gonna do this in the bike for the people that have stock motors or don't wanna take the motor out of their bike or anything like that. So like I said, first step is gonna be taking the rack, the seat off, and then you can get this back plastic part off. On the 89s or any of them that don't have the rear foot pegs, that's really all you have to do then. And then you can start taking the cover off the motor here, this air shroud. But with this bike, I think I am gonna have to take the foot peg off. So we might need to take these bottom panels off and stuff too. We'll see if we can get to this without doing that. I think you might have enough room to squeeze this out, but I don't know if we'll be able to get to the bolt on the flywheel. So we'll have to see, but I would like to do this with taking as least amount of stuff apart as possible for you guys. So once you have this cover off right here, then you can take out these 3 bolts. There should be one there, one there, and one there. I don't think there's any other ones on the bottom. Yep, so just those 3. So I'll get those off, and then we're gonna pull the flywheel off. All right, looks like we can just get this cover off without taking these off. Now you're gonna have to take this fan off, and then you can get to the flywheel behind it. All right, now we're gonna use a 17mm impact socket, and I'm just gonna blast this nut with the impact. There we go. Now what you're gonna have to do to get the flywheel off is you're gonna need one of these puller tools. It is left-hand thread, so all you do is you back off this center pin, you thread it in to the flywheel to the left, not to the right. You'll feel it stopping there, and then you can turn this piece right here, and it's just gonna push it off the shaft. There we go. And we can take this off. And then there's a washer in here too, so make sure you don't lose that. All right, so now we're gonna have to remove the stator cover, and then after that, that should really be the last few steps, and then we can get to the oil pump. And then when you're pulling this off, you do want to be a little bit careful because there is a gasket that this is attached to. So you just want to be aware that you're not ripping the gasket or anything. There we go, got the gasket off. So let's see what kind of condition this is in. This is the gear for the pump, and this is where it drives off of the crankshaft. This is the grease that's supposed to be in here, this orangish stuff, and it is pretty solid. Like, it's got a little tack left in it, but this stuff is pretty much rock hard and not really doing anything for lubricating purposes in here. So what you can do is take this circlip out, and then you can remove the pump. You don't really have to take this out though if you're leaving, or if you're completely removing the pump. If you are leaving the pump, it's easier just to take this pin out, pull this nylon gear out, and then put the circlip back in. All right, so to get to the second bolt that's behind here is a little trickier, so I think I am gonna have to just remove this air shroud. And to remove that, we are gonna have to take the carb oil line and the feed oil line off the pump so we can raise the cover off. So I got the cover unbolted and lifted up here, took the spark plug boot off, and it's just enough to get an Allen in there. You can see the pump's starting to loosen up now. So this back screw is definitely very tricky to get to. Luckily, it's way easier to put back on when you're installing the plug because the pump isn't in the way, so you can use the Allen wrench at 90 degrees. You don't have to have the long part to get back behind the head of the pump. There we go. There is the oil pump. So I was told by the previous owner of this, the oil injection did not work. This pump definitely is working. You can see it's shooting oil out there. And there was oil in the line too when I took this off. That's that blue stuff you see everywhere. That's the two-stroke oil. So I did plug that. So I'm not really sure why the oil injection failed, or if he didn't know what he was talking about. Maybe that's also the case. Because I did look in the tank and it did look kind of blue, so it does look like he is running premix. Other thing that could have happened is this line goes onto the carburetor, so either this is cracked somewhere, which it actually cracked when I was taking off the pump, so this line is very dry rotted. So either it's cracked, it has something plugging it up, it's not on the right nipple on the carb. Anything like that can cause your oil injection not to work. Most of the time, the gear right here shears off on the plastic, and that also happens to the Speedo little transmission box that's on the front. There's a plastic gear in there that can strip out sometimes. Same thing does happen to the oil injection. So I don't know, it doesn't feel like any of these gears are majorly stripped. They all seem to be fine. So I'm not really sure why he said the oil injection wasn't working on this bike. But like I said, that's the big reason why I am not running it anymore, is because I'm unsure if it did work or if it didn't. Like, I don't think the oil injection stops working on these bikes a whole lot, but I like the reliability of it, knowing that it's not gonna just stop working randomly. So you can see here, this big hole obviously is exposing your crank seal now to the elements. Crank seal's right here, and mine was starting to dry out, and the inside of this little compartment here was getting all corroded because I had nothing sealing this hole. I didn't have the stock oil pump anymore because the previous owner removed it, and it was just open to the elements. So that's why I decided to make that plug, so myself could just plug that, but then I started selling them too. So if you're not gonna put a plug in here, you have to leave the stock oil pump in there to have something to seal it off. You can just remove this gear and remove the lines, and then your oil injection is just completely disconnected. So if you're not gonna put the plug in, definitely make sure you leave the oil pump in there. But in my case, I'm removing everything out of here, and we're gonna put the plug in there right now. Now, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to do this when I'm working with stainless steel hardware, and I use stainless steel tools. If you use normal steel tools on stainless steel hardware, you can get what's called metal transfer. And if you've ever noticed you have stainless steel hardware and you're getting rust around where the tool goes inside of it, whether it's a hex head or an Allen head, that's why, because you're using steel tools and you're transferring a tiny little bit of that steel onto the stainless steel, and that's what's rusting. So these are stainless steel Wera Allen wrenches, and I use these on all my stainless steel fasteners, and it just prevents rust. All right, our oil pump plug is in, looking fresh. Rest of the motor is looking kind of nasty, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Like I said, if I was planning on doing a super clean build with this, I'd obviously clean that out or vapor blast it or do something. This is gonna be a dirt scooter, and I'm gonna be riding it off-road and getting it completely caked in mud anyway, so I'm not really too concerned. But the good thing is we have that plug, so now we're not gonna be getting dirt or any corrosion inside of here where our crank seal is. All right, so we got that all back together. Cover is looking pretty sick. I like how that looks. So now I'm gonna just drain the oil out of the reservoir. You can see this thing's almost a little more than halfway filled with oil. I'm just gonna drain it into a can, and then we can pop those lines out and then pop the oil reservoir out. Here's some oil draining ASMR for you. Well, I left to go eat lunch and came back, and it looks like there's a little bit more oil than I thought there was. We kind of topped the bush can off. It's completely full. Overflowed a little bit too, so I have to see if I can take care of this without spilling the whole thing. It is full past the brim. This is probably fine oil too, which kind of sucks. I'm dumping it out and wasting it, but I don't know. I don't know the guy that owned this bike. I don't know, how long this oil's been sitting in there, so I'd rather just dump it and start fresh with everything. All right, so now we can take out the oil reservoir and replace it with the cubby. So there's a little screw right here that's gonna be a number 3 Phillips, and then you just take these 2 spade connectors off here. This is your low oil sensor. And then You can just pull it on out. And the line will come with it right there. So this is our oil reservoir. I have seen people take this reservoir and cut this part out and make it into a cubby, but I think it would still, no matter how much you clean it, be oily. And I also do see a lot of people that just put stuff in this open space right here because it does give you a little bit more room than having the actual cubby in there. The only reason I don't like that is because I did that when I first took the oil reservoir out of that one. I just put my phone in here and it actually slipped out through the bottom of this and fell out on the ground and I cracked my screen. So that's why I made the cubby. I just feel like it's a little more secure option. So this cubby has a little drain hole right here. So if you do ever get water or anything in this, it will drain out. And it's got these two tabs right here and the screw tabs. So it sits in here very, very securely. So you kind of just stick it in there, line it up on those tabs, and then push it down to where that screw hole is right here. And it really is as simple as that. All right, so next thing we're gonna do here is take this line out, which was the output of the pump. So this goes into the carb. I don't think I have a nipple, a rubber cap off nipple for this that's this small. So I think actually what I'm gonna do is cut this line down a little bit and then zip tie it with a kink in it like this. Just because I don't want anything getting into the carb from that nipple and I don't have a cap for it. And then I'm just gonna zip tie this in there and make a little kink in the line. Then cut the line and cut the zip tie. And I'm just gonna leave that in there like that for now until I get a new carb on here. All right, now I'm gonna put my premix sticker on the tank here. On the 89s or any ones that have the smaller tank, you can put it right here, there is enough room. But on every version that has the bigger tank with the double big seat on it, I normally just put them right here. So as you can see on here, it tells us what type of gas. You obviously want 93 non-ethanol if possible. Then it tells us our premix ratio. So I normally run 40:1 on these builds, whether I'm doing a 70 kit or not. And then down here, it gives us a little extra information too. This is mandatory, by the way. All right, so now that we have all those steps completed, there is one more very, very crucial step. And if you don't do this, you will blow your bike up. And that is actually putting premix in the tank. Now, the previous owner that I bought this up said that the oil injection wasn't working, and that is why he put premix in here and was running premix. So just to confirm that there is premix in here, you can see this gas is very blue, which normally means that the gas is mixed with some type of two-stroke premix oil. However, I don't know how old this gas is. I don't know what ratio he was running, if it was the proper ratio or not. I don't know what type of gas is in there. I don't know how old any of it is. I don't know if the oil is cracked. So I'm just gonna drain the tank and put some new premix gas in here, just so I can be 100% positive that it's not gonna mess up anything in the motor. You definitely, after you do this, have to run premix in here. If you don't run 40:1, you will seize your motor and potentially blow up your motor. Alrighty, so I filled her up with premix, started it up, gave her a quick rev, tested it. Very smoky in here. I don't think it's coming across on camera, but we definitely do have premix in there now, so that's all safe to run. All right, so now that we got all this in here, we got the plug, we got the warning sticker, and we got the cubby. You can see that it's a pretty good addition to the build. It's really nice to have the storage back here and be able to lock the seat and stuff too. So definitely a plus to have all that. Pretty soon we will be doing the panels and stuff on here too. I did order plastics a while ago, so they should be coming. But you guys will be able to see what color combo I'm doing on this thing. Here's a little sneak peek of what the lights are gonna look like. I'm not keeping the OEM blue plastics on here, but that's kind of the look I'm going for. If you think, can't decide if I want to do this or not with the lights, but if you think it would look cool with the yellow tint over both these, let me know in the comments. I might end up doing that if you guys think it'll look cool. But yeah, this is what the build's looking like so far. I did order the rear shock too, so we'll get that in, lift the rear end up a bit. I still have to kind of do some research and figure out what I want to do fork wise in the front. All right guys, so that is going to do it for part 3. If you guys have any questions about deleting the oil injection or anything that I missed, just let me know down in the comments and I'll make sure I answer that. But yeah, for now, I think part 4 is just going to be some minor stuff, and then part 5 we'll probably do the suspension. I am waiting on some parts for this to kind of finish up the build. And then there is some stuff that I'm probably going to do later in the year that I'm not going to cover right now. Right now I'm really just trying to get this running and do most of the cosmetic stuff that I knew I wanted to do. So stay tuned for part 4, and I'll see you guys in the next one.